Hey folks, Michael Mann with Michael Mann Security Services, and welcome to the Security Management Minute. We're going to talk about security force models, or specifically contract and proprietary security forces. Hey, if you want to get a hold of us, you can get us at contact@michaelmannsecurityservices.com, or you can always contact me directly at 615-956-3912, and you can leave me a message if I do not answer, and I will get back to you directly. Okay, so let's quickly talk about security force models. There are three specific models that we use in security forces, or how we deploy those. And the first is proprietary, second is contract, third is hybrid. So proprietary security is when the organization takes complete ownership of the security force. So what that means is they hire them, they pay them, they work directly for that organization. So, if it's, if the organization is, Acme Widgets, the proprietary security organization, the guards or the officers work directly for Acme Widgets. Okay. Contract security is where we farm this out. So we pay a company that specializes in providing contract security personnel. So they don't work for the organization; they work for this contract company. And we're going to talk about the pros and cons for both proprietary and contract here in just a second. Now, hybrid security is where we use a combination of both. I've seen this where the security force, like the line officials or those officers that are working the posts, they are contract, and then supervision and management actually work for the organization. So sometimes corporations or organizations will choose to do that. In larger corporations where there is a corporate security function, kind of another method, the way this is done, like the contra or like the corporation's security management or security directors. So that leadership that runs the corporate security programs, investigations, access control, you name anything that's done in corporate security, they actually work for the organization. And then the guards or the security forces that are there providing security functions, guard functions, are contracts. So a couple different ways where hybrid works better for some organizations. All right. But again, we're going to focus on pros and cons of proprietary and contract. So proprietary, here's some good stuff, man. You hire proprietary guards, they work directly for the company. You're going to get more most of the time you'll get more loyalty from those officers, right? Because they work directly for the organization. There's pride there, there's ownership, right? Second, you get direct control over things like hiring and selection. So you get to pick, or the organization gets to set the standard, and they get to they get say so in the hiring selection what they're looking for. Training, also direct control over training. So the organization actually develops the training standards, and that way they get to pick and choose how the officers are trained. Of course, there's some state laws in there that are mandated, obviously, but the organization can add things outside of that. And then, of course, supervision, management of these folks is controlled directly by the organization. Another good thing about proprietary in general, you can have lower turnover, so you're not going to have the turnover rate that you would in contract. And I mentioned this already, but there's a sense of ownership not only from the officers but also from the organization. So a lot of times, because the proprietary security force works for the organization also has a sense of ownership because they do own it, which makes gives them a pride sometimes, and they look better at that force. Now, some bad things, or let's just say some cons, right? Somewhere where there's opportunity, risk. The organization is now taking the risk of this officer or officers. And what that means is things like use of force, negligence. So those all now are owned by that organization. And then cost. Believe it or not, proprietary security forces in general cost more than contract security forces. When we start to talk about pay, and we start talking about benefits, paid time off, workman's compensation issues, that actually increases the cost for proprietary security. So you've got some really good things, and then you've got some opportunities there when we start talking about risk and cost. So let's talk about contract security forces. What that look like? So the organization now shifts control to this specialized company that provides the guard. So all this control that the organization had with proprietary, they now give that over to this contract security organization, because that's who they're going to use to go out and do the hiring, the training, supervision, etc. Now, there is at times greater flexibility with things like scheduling, training, selection when we start talking about contract security forces. We are also, or the organization is also transferring all the risk. We talk about like negligence, use of force, that kind of stuff. That is transferred over to that contract security organization. So now the organization itself does not have to worry about that. Cost also in general can be lower, believe it or not, because we're not necessarily paying that enhancement for paid time off, workman's comp. All that stuff is now transferred over to the contract security company. Not that the contractor won't put that in the bill rate, because they will, but the cost is typically lower when we start talking about contract security in general. Now, turnover, some opportunities. Normally, we see a higher turnover rate in contract security, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, they don't really have a sense of ownership for the organization or from the organization because they're working for the contractor. That creates turnover. Some other things that create turnover is lower pay, believe it or not, sometimes with contractor in general. Because the contractor's making money, they're going to charge an enhanced rate, the bill rate. But the officer is not paid the bill rate. The officer is going to be paid a pay rate. So because there needs to be this difference in how much the company is making, actually, while at the same time paying the guards, turnover can also be caused by lower pay. All right. And then, of course, like knowledge, when we start to talk about knowledge, some things that we lose, maybe knowledge about the organization, because the contractor is not working directly for the organization, like in proprietary security forces. There's information they don't have. There's training they're not going to receive. So that ownership is not there. So there could be a lack of knowledge when we start talking about contract security. So pros and cons of both contract and proprietary. Okay, folks, certification. If you're looking to get certification in either security management, physical security, or you're new to the industry and you're looking at the associate protection professional certification, watch our website, send us an email. We'll put you on our mailing list, and we'll let you know when we're teaching these. You sign up, and they are absolutely free. All of this is through the American Society for Industrial Security, but as Michael Mann Security Services, we provide those sessions absolutely free. About a $2,100 to $2,500 value for you guys, and you pay absolutely nothing. Again, if you want to get a hold of us, get us at contact@michaelmannsecurityservice.com, or you can call me at 615-956-3912. And remember, folks, it is about prevention, not response.